This is Matt Verderam with Arrowhead Addict, and I'm predicting every game of the Chiefs' 2022 regular season schedule. The 2022 Kansas City Chiefs season starts September 11th, and they start in the desert, hopefully where they will end their season in Glendale. They play the Arizona Cardinals. I think the Chiefs win that game. I don't think the Cardinals can defend them. The Cardinals are without Chandler Jones now. The pass rush not as good. The cornerback situation shaky. I think Kansas City goes in there and wins. Remember, Patrick Mahomes in his career has only lost one September game. Cardinals have had a very weird offseason. I think Kansas City finds a way to get it done. I think they win somewhat going away as they get their season off in fine form. Come week 2, the home opener, Thursday Night Football, under the lights against the Los Angeles Chargers. One of the biggest games of the year, even though it's early. I think for both the Chiefs and the Chargers, an early measuring stick of where both these teams are. The Chargers, of course, the hunters, the Chiefs, the hunted. Visit Arrowhead. Kansas City's been hearing all year long, all season long, how this is going to be a division that they no longer can win. I think the Chiefs win this game. I do. I think in the end, when it comes down to it, the Chiefs are just a deeper team. I believe they have the better head coach quarterback combination. And I think ultimately for Kansas City, this is a game you really need early in the year. It's at home. It's a statement game. I think it's more important for the Chiefs because they're at home than it is for the Chargers, who can break back later on in the year. Week 3 at Indianapolis, the Colts, a team that the Chiefs usually have struggled with in the past when it comes to going on the road and playing in that building. However, these are two different teams. The Chiefs have not gone to Indianapolis in quite some time. Mahomes has never played in Indianapolis. I think Kansas City can go in there and win this game. This is not going to be easy. The Colts are a better team. They have Matt Ryan, who's better than Carson Wentz. Michael Pittman's a very good receiver. And, of course, Jonathan Taylor is a great running back. And their defense is good, too. Stephon Gilmore, Rodney McLeod should be a better secondary. I think it's a tight game. I think it's a good game. Indy wants to play that ball control style. The Chiefs obviously want to get up and down the field a little bit more. I think that's what makes it hard for the Colts. If the Chiefs get up in the game, they get up by a couple of scores, it becomes tough for Indianapolis to stick to that ground game. And that's where I think things become a little bit more difficult for the Colts. So I think Kansas City finds a way to win a one-score game, tight game. I think they improve to 3-0. Week 4. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they go on the road for Sunday Night Football. This is where I had the Chiefs taking their first loss. I could see Kansas City winning this game. Tampa's really banged up on the offensive line. I think that matters. So why do I take Tampa? Brady against that young defense, that young secondary where you could see 3 rookies in and out at some point with McDuffie and Williams and Watson. I think that's a tough matchup for Kansas City, especially if Chris Godwin is back and he's healthy. Look, the Chiefs have a path to winning that football game. It's getting pressure inside. It's being able to move the ball up and down the field. Totally possible. But I think in the end, I think with Brady at home where the Bucs very rarely lose, I think they find a way to get it done. Week 5, the Chiefs play another primetime game. Their third in 5 weeks to start the year, and they take on the Las Vegas Raiders at Arrowhead on Monday Night Football. I think this is a very high-scoring game. The Raiders have a lot of weaponry. Obviously, the Chiefs have a great offense. I think Kansas City, though, wins this game, and I do think the Chiefs win this game by a couple of scores. The Raiders do not have a defense that can hang with the Chiefs. They can't cover them. The problem the Raiders are going to have when they're on offense is they cannot block, okay? Kansas City has historically been able to get after Carr. You saw them do it a couple times last year. I think they're able to do it again. This is a team that, in the end, I think for the Raiders, they're going to have to be able to get ahead of the Chiefs so that they can block a little bit easier. They don't have to worry about the Chiefs pinning their ears back and sending everybody. I don't know that happens. I think Kansas City wins the game, improves to 4-1. Week 6, the Buffalo Bills. Chiefs fans won't like this. I think the Bills are the best team in football. Now, they played a classic last year in the divisional round. The Bills obviously losing with that 13 seconds hanging over their head. I think Buffalo gets revenge in this game. Not necessarily even because I think the Bills are a tick better. I think the teams are very close to being even. But in the end, Buffalo is going to have all the motivation in the world for this game. They're going to have revenge on their minds. God knows the Chiefs are going to want to win. It's a huge game. It's a late afternoon game on CBS. But I think for Kansas City, even though it's at home, it means a little less to them than it's going to mean to Buffalo. That game in January is going to be lingering in the Bills' minds for 9 months before that game. I think the Bills find a way. Week 7, Kansas City goes out to San Francisco, plays the 49ers. I think the Chiefs find a way in this game. I went back and forth on this. I just don't know what Trey Lance is yet. I like him. I think he's going to be a very good player, and I love the Niners roster. If Lance is good, they could win the Super Bowl this year. But I think in the end right now, I have to trust Mahomes over Lance to win that game. I just feel confident about that. I worry about the Niners offensive line a little bit. I think it's close. I think it could go either way, kind of like I feel about week 6, quite honestly. I think that game could go either way. I took the Bills. I'll take the Chiefs on the road against San Francisco. I think they get to 5-2 going into their bye week. And with that schedule, with all the teams that I just rolled off who they have to play, 5-2, I think if you're the Chiefs, you feel really good about as you go into a week 8 bye. And when you come out of it, week 9, another primetime game, this time at home on Sunday Night Football against the Tennessee Titans. The Chiefs were humiliated last year by Tennessee. They lost 27-3. It was kind of the low point of the year for them. I think the Chiefs come out and handle Tennessee in a big way in this game. No A.J. Brown anymore. I don't know who Tennessee has that scares you throwing the ball. The Chiefs will stack the box. They'll threaten them with 8 down low, force Tannehill to go over the top to guys like Robert Woods and Treylon Burks. I don't think they can do it. I think Kansas City runs away with this game coming out of the bye at home under the lights. It's a bad scenario for Tennessee. I think the Chiefs get to 6-2. Following week, another AFC South team comes in. Kansas City hosting Jacksonville. The Jaguars are better. They're much improved. They spent a lot of money in free agency. You can argue if that money was smart or dumb, but they spent it. They got better. They added Doug Peterson, which is an upgrade over not even having a head coach last year. Trevor Lawrence should be much better. I think Jacksonville could be around the 500 team, 7 or 8 win team this season. But I do not think one of those wins is coming at Arrowhead Stadium. I think this is a tough spot. It's the first time Lawrence will go to Arrowhead. That's a different environment, a different deal. I think Kansas City wins. I think they win somewhat comfortably to run their record up to 7-2. Look, the Chiefs are just better than the Jaguars at this point. They're far ahead of them in terms of roster construction, in terms of being a team that knows it can win on any given Sunday. I think the Chiefs run away with this to some degree. And then they go into Los Angeles for a very, very big game in the AFC West. And if the Chiefs won that first matchup, the Chargers will know they probably need to win this game to have a shot. I think they do it. I think the Chargers find a way to win. These teams split last year. They won in each other's building. This time, I think they'll win in their own buildings. It's a close game. I think both games will be very close between these two teams. But I do think that the talent level of both is such that you're probably looking at a split. I think that's where this heads. So I'll take each team winning at home. This is not a primetime game. It's a late afternoon game out in L.A. I think the Chiefs fall to 7-3 here. Obviously still in fine position, but I do think the Chargers get the split. Then the Super Bowl champs come into Arrowhead Stadium. The Los Angeles Rams take on the Chiefs. This is an interesting game, but I actually think this matchup bodes well for the Chiefs. McDonald is an amazing player. He is the best defensive player in the world, has been for years. But the Chiefs' strength is their offensive line, specifically the interior with Joe Thuney and Trey Smith and Creed Humphrey. I think the Chiefs are able to at least somewhat neutralize Donald as much as one possibly can. While Ramsey's great, the Chiefs' depth at receiver, I think, plays to their strength here. They can move away from Ramsey. They can do what they need to do. Travis Kelce, I think, has a big day in this game. I don't know that the Rams can take him on. Stafford will keep them in the game. They have Kupp. Okay, obviously Kupp last year winning the Triple Crown for receivers. They have Allen Robinson. But I think the Chiefs, the better team here. I think the Rams lost a lot this offseason. So I'll take Kansas City to win, move to 8-3. And then you go to Cincinnati. This is a pivotal game. But I mentioned earlier, I think the Bills will have revenge on their minds going into Arrowhead. I think the Chiefs will have revenge on their mind going into Cincinnati. I like the Chiefs in this game. I do not think the Bengals will regress. I think the Bengals are a very good team. They have a great offense, 3 excellent receivers, obviously led by Jamar Chase. Chiefs fans need no reminder of that. Joe Burrow is fantastic. They have Joe Mixon. I think the defense in Cincinnati is going to struggle a little bit this year. They're still not a great group at the cornerback position. They have Trey Hendrickson up front, but there's no secondary pass rush. Sam Hubbard, a good player, not a great player. I think the Chiefs, who frankly last year let 2 games get away from them against Cincinnati, I don't think that happens again this time. I think the Chiefs go in there focused and with a purpose. I think they handle their business. They beat Cincinnati. And that starts a 3-game road trip that continues in Denver, where the Chiefs will play the Broncos on Sunday Night Football, the last of their scheduled primetime games. I think Denver's going to finally beat the Chiefs once this year. I think it's finally going to happen. They have not beaten the Chiefs since week 2 of the 2015 season. I think this is the game where they find a way to get it done. Look, going into Denver is hard no matter what. It's really hard in primetime. And I think the Broncos are a good team. Look, they're going to have a really easy schedule out of the gate. The Broncos should rack up a bunch of wins, get some confidence. I think Denver's going to be in the mix for the division. Don't think they'll win it, but I think they'll be in the mix. I like Denver in this game. I think the Broncos find a way to get it done at home, under the lights. The crowd will be wild. One of the few crowds that can match the intensity that you see at Arrowhead week in and week out. So I think in week 14, I think the win goes to Denver. It gives the Chiefs their 4th loss of the year. But now for the Chiefs, the schedule really lightens up. Even though it's the 3rd game of a 3-game road trip in Houston in week 15, look, I can't see the Chiefs losing that game to the Texans. The Texans are a rebuilding team. They probably have one of the 5 worst rosters in the league. I think the Chiefs roll pretty handily in this game. Do not think it's much of a problem. Mahomes going back to Texas. I'm sure he'll want to put on a good show. He's never played in Houston. I think the Chiefs win, and they win big. I could see this one being a blowout, a game where the Chiefs win by 20 to 30 points. I think that kind of an effort's in store, especially if they are coming off a loss. Then they come home. They play the Seattle Seahawks. Easily their best 2-game stretch of the year. Another game, whether it's Drew Lock or Geno Smith or even somebody who's not on the roster right now, I don't think there's any chance Seattle has of going in and winning this game. Not at Arrowhead, not in week 16 when the Chiefs know that the money's on the table. I think they go in, they handle their business. I don't see that being much of a problem. Yes, DK Metcalf's great. Tyler Lockett is excellent. None of that matters if you can't get the ball to them. I think the Chiefs roll. They roll somewhat convincingly. Give them an 11-4 mark as they get their rematch week 17 at home against the Broncos. This one, I think they win. I do not think Denver sweeps. I think there's a chance the Chiefs could sweep it. I do not think Denver has much of a chance of sweeping this series. Kansas City in Arrowhead late in the year on New Year's Day. I think the Chiefs roll. I don't think it's a blowout, but I also think it's the kind of game that you never really think's in doubt in the 4th quarter. So I like Kansas City to win that game, get themselves to 12-4. And then with the Raiders, week 18 in Vegas. A lot of questions in week 18. Who does it matter more for? Does it matter for anybody? You don't know. The Chiefs could be resting starters. The Raiders could be in the playoffs, already out of the playoffs. I like the Chiefs in this game. I've gone back and forth all year long on whether they'd win 12 or 13 games. I like what I've seen from this team. I think they're a young group. They're a hungry group. I also think they're the deepest team that Mahomes has had. They may not be the most star-laden. I think they're the deepest. And in the regular season, that stuff really matters because you have attrition in the NFL. I think the Chiefs go in. I do think they sweep the Raiders. I don't think the Raiders have an answer for Kansas City defensively. And in the end, I think that gets the Chiefs to a 13-4 record, which I do think will be good enough to win the AFC West for a 7th consecutive year.